I'm Brent Zeller. I've played sports my whole life. It was sort of what I did. My brothers both were very academic oriented and got their PhDs and all that, so I went the other direction. And my mother was very coordinated, so I guess I got some coordination skills from her. I started playing tennis only when I was 14, after playing baseball and basketball, but got into tennis late. But found that it was the sport that challenged me more than the other ones. The others I felt like I got pretty good at relatively quickly, but tennis was more of a challenge. And so I like challenge. So I said, hey, I'm going to stay with the tennis. And that's one of the first things I want you all to understand, that you are asking yourselves to do one of the most challenging activities with tennis, because you're here one moment, you're over here one moment, you got to run here, run there. So it's not just there's physical skills involved, but there are also mental and emotional skills involved. And so that's where it makes it more challenging. It's a great workout. And so I've been playing the game for getting close to 50 years, and I've been teaching for 42 years. So my whole adult life has been teaching tennis. And so, feel I've learned a few things over the course of time. And what I started seeing, as I said, it's a very challenging sport. But what I started seeing over time was that one of the things that made it even harder was being thrown into competition before you had any of your skills together. Basically, how I learned was, okay, this is a forehand, this is a backhand, here's how you volley up at the net, and here's how you serve, here's how you keep score, now go play. So that is, and especially here in America, that is a real way that we teach people. And I call it the trial by fire, school of hard knocks theory of learning. My favorite analogy is to take a newborn and throw it into the deep end of the pool, and if it doesn't swim to the side, just go up, next, here we go. So, basically what I'm saying is that it is not logical to me to put people into competition before they actually know how to play the game. Right? It's like you have none of the skills, and yet you're out there competing. And the problem is, when you start to compete, the goal switches from learning the skills to trying to win, or at least trying not to lose. And those are very different things. And so what I say is that tennis is this beautiful, graceful sport, but if you're going out and playing without learning the skills, it's more like you're fending off an attacker rather than playing tennis. It's this wonderful sport, and hopefully you will all stay with it. Obviously, the younger ones have more time to master it, but we all need some form of exercise as we get older. And so this is a great exercise, not just physically, but the mental and emotional skills that you need, and we'll talk about those in a minute. But so about 1985, I started de-emphasizing the competition. And at that time, that was a pretty radical thing to do. But what I saw was that people were getting all frustrated, and they had very bad habits. And once you have a bad habit, it takes a lot longer to undo that habit. So in the early 90s, I read this great book called No Contest: The Case Against Competition by Alfie Kohn, and a brilliant man. And he had done the research and shown that basically across the board, a competitive learning environment is inferior and produces worse results than a competitive learning environment. So at the end of 1992, I took all the competition out of my tennis program, because I said, if I want to be the best teacher I can be and help you all be the best players you can be, you need to learn the game first, learn the physical, mental, and emotional skills before you start keeping score. See, to me, competition is an advanced aspect of any activity, not something that beginners or people who don't have their skills together should be engaging in. So I've created this program, and people have a great time playing without keeping score. And you start seeing that you continue to get better for a very long time. So there's no competition. I'm teaching you all the skills to be a great competitive player, but without any competition in the program. So that's the basis of what we're doing here. Now I want to get on to what I call the keys to peak performance. The first key to peak performance is joy. Joy, not after you've won the point, the game, the set, the match, or the championship, but joy while you're out there. You are doing a recreational activity. You are not going to be making money on the court unless you're big into gambling and want to make bets with your friends as to who's going to win. But basically, you're doing this for a recreational activity to get exercise and learn the skills of this challenging game. So joy is about emotional control. Sometimes we can just say, oh, I get angry easily or I get frustrated easily. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're not going very far in life. Because there are, things are going to be tough and they're going to be frustrating, and it's easy to get angry, especially when you're missing a bunch of shots in a row. So, but in a competitive environment, it is exacerbated by the competition. Here, you get to start learning how to work through those things and learn right, I can't be upset right now. I just have to, be relaxed and more joyful. So yeah, you will hear me asking you when you're out there playing and I'm watching, are you feeling the joy? Or how's your joy level? And that's usually when I'm sensing that you're not feeling the joy. It's very easy to get upset with ourselves. But remember, I said, you're asking yourself to do one of the hardest physical activities there is. So, be patient with yourself. So joy is the first one. The second key is relaxation. There has never been a study that shows that tense muscles create faster reaction time. All right? Never. Not, if you can show me a study that does that, I would like to see it. But basically, so we need to be relaxed. But what happens when we're in competition? We tighten up because our ego and our self-esteem are on the line. And so that makes us tighten up. So the only place we can find our true level of relaxation is when there is no competition. And then when you start tensing up, it's like, well, why are you tensing up? Right? And so you learn how to relax. And this is one of the several really big benefits that people find in the program. You come out the first time and you feel like you're tense. So we have 14 weeks here. So by the end of those 14 weeks, you're going to feel a lot more relaxed out there, especially those of you who don't have ball experience, right? You have fractions of seconds to make all these decisions and move your body all over the place to get to that ball. That immediately creates tension. So we're going to learn how to keep our ego out of the way and just learn and have fun with this. So yeah, relaxation, not just on the physical level, but mentally and emotionally. There's never been a study that shows that tense muscles in the brain or like a tunnel vision creates being able to see and assess the situation that you're in more clearly. So we have to learn how to, be relaxed mentally and emotionally also. Great challenge, but fun. I mean, you start seeing it, you start working with it. Hey, that's pretty fun. And just it's like, oh, how's the joy factor, right? You'll come back to that when I say that. Sometimes people want to hit me with their racket when I say those kind of things, right? It's like, shut up, I'm not having fun here, you know. So, but yeah, it's recreation. So number 2 is relaxation. Now the thing with relaxation is that usually we relax when we're up on Mount Tam and maybe sitting there meditating, or we're at the beach and the waves are washing over us or whatever. But what happens when we do that? Our mind wanders all over the place. Unfortunately, in tennis, here comes that tennis ball. Our mind cannot wander. So number 3, concentration. Staying focused in the present. It's the great meditation. I call tennis the moving meditation. And that's what we're going for out there, is to get into this meditative state. Back in 1974, when I started teaching, this guy, Tim Galway, put out a great book called Inner Tennis. And in that, he talked about learning how to get into the zone. Does everybody understand what the zone is? Happens in dance, happens in music, happens in sports, happens in anything, but you know, it's that moment where everything seems to be happening and you don't know how, but it's all working. Okay, so that's the zone, and that's the peak of performance. And that's why these are called the keys to peak performance, right? So that's where we're going. We're trying to get into that state of being in the zone, because that's where we'll play our best. So the concentration is about being in the present. There is no past, there is no future. There's only the now. This is the great Zen meditation exercise. To learn how to do this in tennis, where you hit the ball and then you have, like, you know, 1 to 2 seconds, or maybe 4 if it's a really slow shot, and you know, then you're over here and you're over there. But you're always trying to come back to this meditative, focused state, because that's where you're going to be able to play your best. So it's a great challenge, but it's a really fun challenge. And you know, certain days you come out, had arguments with somebody, didn't sleep well, whatever, you know, a lot of things can happen. Had too much fun the night before, whatever. Harder to stay focused, but it's something that we work on every time out there. So we want to, you know, get that really down. So how do we stay in the present? You know, hit the ball, whether it was the best shot we ever hit in the world, and we're like, oh, that was really good. Oh yeah, good job. Here comes the next ball. And if you're congratulating yourself for that great shot, then you're more likely to miss the next one. Or the other one, you know, you hit some crappy shot off the frame of your racket, and you go, oh, you idiot, how could you do that? Oh, that was so easy, and you missed, you know, there you are in the past, right? So we have to learn to stay in the present, and we can't jump into the future either. Okay, so those are the big 3, joy, relaxation, and concentration. Those are what you're really working on out here as you learn to play this wonderful game of tennis. Now, key number 4, and some of you may be dealing with this one right now, and that is patience. Probably going, okay, enough talking, let's go learn how to play this game, right? But patience is one of, you know, everybody says, or you hear the saying, patience is a virtue, right? Patience is a non-optional part of peak performance. If you want to do anything to a high level, patience is a real key. And the problem with patience is you can't force yourself to be patient. You just have to be patient. So we're going to be working on patience out here. It's a hard activity, but you all will be able to learn it over the course of time. We all have different, you know, paths and different lengths of time it takes us to learn things. So the next one is the active ingredient, perseverance. Okay, like I say, it's a hard, challenging activity. But if you stay with it, you will start seeing the improvement. It's usually when things are feeling like we're not getting anywhere, that if we just stay with it a little bit longer, all of a sudden we go up a level. And this is another thing of learning that I want you to, you know, make sure that you're clear with, is that we all learn in a series of plateaus. When we first start learning something, our improvement can feel pretty rapid, but then we hit a plateau. And we go along that plateau, and you know, it's sort of like a bumpy ride, up and down. Sometimes it's feeling better, sometimes it's, but we're better than we were before. So the problem is, so say the first 6 months you're feeling some pretty good improvement. Around that level, you'll hit a plateau. Well, the problem with that plateau, that can last 6 months to a year. And it's just that you're integrating all these different pieces at that time. So if you can stay with it, all of a sudden, you'll go up to that next plateau. You know, the problem with staying with something long term is that the plateaus get longer and longer, right? I mean, me playing the game nearly 50 years, my plateaus are like 5 to 10 years. But the good thing is I actually feel improvement every once in a while. I mean, it's strange. But so, you know, after that first year, then the next plateau can be 1 to 3 years, depending on how much you practice and how much, you know, focus you put into your play. And then after that, another 1 to 3 years. So, you know, the plateaus get longer, but because you're learning or you're improving incrementally, just little teensy things. So, you know, this is how learning works. So I want you to learn to do tennis this way. But if you find some other activity that you like, this is how you learn. And this is really what this talk is about, is these are the keys to learning anything. Right, basically. And so use them for tennis, use them for whatever, but just, you know, I mean, I'll give you a sheet that you can put on your wall and remember these different things. So the next one, self-motivation. I can tell you everything you need to do. I've got that experience now. So, but you have to do it. You can't learn tennis by reading a book. You have to get out there and hit tons of balls to learn it. It is this dance. So yeah, the self-motivation, very important. The next one is hand-eye coordination. Nobody comes here with the necessary hand-eye coordination to be a great tennis player. But if you practice, you will get that. You will start learning that skill. And so over time, you will get that. And hand-eye coordination has a lot to do with key number 3, concentration. So we'll be working on our hand-eye coordination a lot. Again, it's easy to get frustrated when you start missing some shots, but learning to, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna get frustrated, I'm gonna relax now, really helps. Next key is cellular memory, and this is a really important one. How many of you know the term muscle memory? Okay, yeah. So muscle memory is what it used to be called, and what most people still call it, but it's repeating an action and having that be patterned into our body. As we repeat habits, you know, whatever it is, we repeat something, it gets programmed. I believe that it's much deeper. It's more in the cellular level that these mechanics and emotional thoughts get wired into every cell in our body. And so that's why unlearning is so difficult, because you can't, just like a computer, go, oh, I don't want this information anymore, delete, and it's gone, right? It's in every cell of your body. So you have to unlearn it and relearn the new. So this is why it's really important to get the mechanics down right from the beginning, so that you're not undoing things. You're just, you know, working on. So those of you who have played before, some of the things that you worked on are going to benefit you. Other things are going to be a problem, and they limit you. And you know, you can either say, well, I'll just stay with that way for the rest of my life because I'm happy with mediocre, you know. Or you can go, okay, well, it's going to take me a little time to make this change, but then I will really see my game improve to higher and higher levels. And I have a lot of people that have been in my program for 10, 15, 20 years. And we're not doing competition. They just enjoy getting out there, but they still see themselves slowly improving. So you can use this method for anything you want to learn. I highly recommend it. So yeah, the cellular memory, also the emotional cellular memory. You know, if you have, you know, that anger, that sadness, you know, whatever. I mean, obviously we can't be happy all the time, but when you're out there, that's where peak performance is going to occur, when you're happy. So how do we undo that getting so frustrated and upset or getting distracted, losing focus? Slowly program that in there by doing the drills and getting the dance down. The next key is stroke mechanics. I mentioned this briefly, but every time you swing the racket, it leaves that memory. So we want to get mechanics in there that are actually going to work, so that we do the same thing. In the future, if I took a video of you, I would want to see the stroke being the same every time. It's like you don't have 2 or 3 different forehands and 2 or 3 different backhands. You have one of each. And so what we're going to be working on here is what I call the foundation strokes, the most basic level that will allow you to be really good, right? So we will work on these, and then you can do the other levels of strokes, the more advanced things like topspin and slice, but we're going to be working on these foundation strokes. So really important there. Next thing, footwork. Tennis is a spontaneous, improvisational dance. You know, with any dance, there's basic footwork, you know, dot, 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 dot. You know, same thing here. You want to get that basic fundamental footwork down, and then you do all the improvisation afterwards, right? So you want to have that, you know, I mean, that's when you learn a dance. You learn the simple steps, you know, to put your feet in the right place. But then, as you get it, then you go off and, you know, you do all kinds of beautiful things with the dance. So yes, footwork, very important. You don't want to stop one step too short and be reaching out like this, and you don't want to hit a shot and then take like 3 steps afterwards when you're done, because then you're not as in position for the next ball. The next key, we're getting closer to the end. The next key is rhythm. Okay, you want to be in rhythm when you're out on the court. When you're playing competitive sports, you want to do everything you can to get the other person, your opponent, out of their rhythm. You know, that's your whole goal, is to get them out of their rhythm so that you can beat them. But we need to have very good rhythm to play good tennis. So here, the person on the other side of the net is not your opponent. The person on the other side of the net is your partner. So we're working together to dance with this other person and get in rhythm. So you're actually trying to help the other person hit a good shot. You know, we're in this together to make this thing work so much better this way. So the rhythm is about every ball that comes to us has a perfect moment to be hit. Okay? And an ideal contact point, and we'll talk about that a little bit today and in weeks in the future. But there's one spot where when ball's coming to the right side of your body and you hit a forehand. Any left-handers here? Oh, good. All right, I'm left-handed, so. But yeah, so for right-handers, the contact spot. So every time, we're not just trying to hit the ball anywhere, we're trying to get it to this one little spot. And time it, watch the ball and time it so that when the ball is there, our racket is there. Okay, so this rhythm, perfect, ideal, perfect moment for every ball. Sometimes that perfect moment is just before the ball hits the court on the second bounce, right? We had to run all the way across the court. And it's very easy when we're running over there on a hard shot like that to be going, oh my God, oh, I'm gonna get there. And then, you know, we probably are gonna miss it. So we have to learn how to run over there and be calm emotionally and go, where's that perfect spot for this ball? Oh, there it is, boom, you know, and you hit it back in the court. And that's another one of the keys to being a good tennis player is consistency. You know, being able to make the shots, keep the rally going. Let's see, rhythm. Yes, that's it on rhythm. Now, next to last one, breathing. So, there are 3 choices. What do you think you're doing when you are contacting that tennis ball? Are you inhaling? Are you exhaling? Or are you holding your breath? Exhaling. Exhaling. Why is that?
Because of the exertion.
Okay.
Contact and exertion.
Okay.
Usually do that.
Yeah, in a lot of activities. Yes, you're blowing out. So yes, that's what you want to do. You want to exhale. Very common to inhale like a startle response, or just hold your breath, and then you find yourself out of breath after you haven't taken a breath for 3 or 4 shots, and you're so we want to get exhaling on contact. Now, you see the pros on TV, or actually you hear the pros on TV. You know, the men are like, and the women are like, you know, and so, you know, it's a different type of exhaling. They are exhaling, which is good, but it's more of a fear-based or an anger-based thing. What we actually want to do is learn to, I use the image that the ball is a cupcake. Freshly baked cupcake, got a little icing on it, one candle, the candle's lit. As we get to the contact point, we blow the candle out. So we're just trying to blow out one candle. There are not 40 or 50 candles on that cupcake. We do not want to try to remove the icing from the cupcake by blowing so hard. When we're blowing so hard, that's showing our tension. So we start, and what this also does is it starts getting us into that more of a meditative state that I was talking about and getting into the zone. Because the problem is we tend to overthink everything we're doing. So by focusing on our exhale, we allow our bodies to do what we're programming them to do. So we'll start working on that. And then how we get all the way into the zone is that we start inhaling when our partner hits the ball, right? So because if we're watching them, then we know what's happening with the ball and where it's going to go more likely, instead of still thinking about what we're doing. So you see them hit the ball and it's almost like you're drawing the ball to you. And then when you hit it, and so then it becomes this meditation, inhale and exhale. And you start finding that your level really goes up a whole lot. So we're going to be working on the breathing a bunch. And the last key to peak performance is confidence. Confidence comes at the end. I've heard so many coaches telling their students or players, come on, you got to be more confident, got to be more confident. But you know, there's this little voice inside us, because you know, we all learned in a competitive learning environment for the most part. And so there's this little voice going, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing, you know, how can I be confident? So here, as we work on those 12 areas, our skills start to improve, and we get to start having some confidence in what we're doing. And the thing is, it becomes an inner confidence. So much confidence in the competitive world, and I've seen this just so much in tennis, because I did play a lot of competitive tennis when I was younger and did pretty well at it, but just saw the negative side effects of it. But you know, you see the pro walking around with the rackets and they got this, you know, air to them or attitude about them. And so they're looking confident, but if you can break through that confidence, all of a sudden their confidence is gone. So we want to have this confidence that is unshakable. And as you start knowing that you can do these different things, you start getting that. So, you know, my recommendation is to learn the game, not worry about the competition. You can have fun just doing the dance of tennis, because it by itself, without keeping score, is a great challenge. So hopefully you will all want to participate in such a fun program. Any questions? No?
Who was your favorite player?
Federer, you know, was sort of the key at this point. I mean, he was playing more effortlessly, but then, you know, they got him into, oh, you know, you got to be more emotional and all this stuff. And to me, it really is like a meditation. And if you're getting emotional and all pumped up, and you know, you're getting out of the present. You know, you're now in the past or the future. So to me, it's really about staying focused in the present and just learning this fun, challenging game. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay, great. Let's go out on the court and we're going to start on it.